Excellent. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the criminal justice meeting this morning. We'd like to call to order. Roll call.
Commission members Brown, Fuller,
Present.
Harris,
Present.
Herr,
Present.
Rodriguez, Vice Chairman Little.
Present.
We have a quorum.
Would you all rise for the flag salute, please?
Everyone could put your right hand over your heart and repeat with me. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Presentations.
We have no presentations this morning.
Well, we have something that's similar to a presentation, but not, I'm sure it'll be officially, but I was given some disturbing news this morning by Mr. Dorico that Linda is going to be retiring. So are we going to take a vote on this, or is it something that somebody wants to make a motion on, or?
I make a motion that she remains with us for another 20 years.
Okay. I think it could be unanimous that way, too. So, anyways, great to hear that you're going to retire, but I can tell you from me personally, I'm going to miss you immensely, so I'm going to need your cell phone number and everything else so I can stay in contact with you, so, but anyways.
Certainly. Thank you very much.
How many years, Linda?
36.
36 years?
36 years.
So you started at 12?
She was like 11 as a rec leader.
Yeah, as a rec, yeah.
Yeah, she used to walk over here from Parkview and work.
There you go.
When is the last official day?
My last official day will be December 21st.
Congratulations.
Merry Christmas.
Thank you. Thank you.
Well deserved. Thank you so much. We have no speaker cards, I'm assuming,
No, sir.
for the consent. Okay. Approval of the minutes. Has anyone had a chance to review the minutes from last meeting? We have a motion from Dr. Brown to, do we have a second?
Second.
Second?
Third.
Third? Fourth? Would everyone vote, please? We have one abstention, which was Mr. Harris, who wasn't at this last meeting, so passed 5-0-1. So we'll get into right to our commission staff presentations. Sheriff's Department, Todd.
Good morning.
Morning.
The first on the Crime Commission report, the first team we want to go over is going to be the burglary suppression team. You can see that there's a slight change in the stats from September to October. They trended a little bit downward. That's due to some of the team members going to training during that month. Also due to the shooting that occurred in Las Vegas. Some of the members of the team were there and took some time off to deal with that issue. So they did do 9 felony arrests, 5 search warrants, 12 arrest warrants, recovered 1 firearm, and they recovered $60,250 in property. They did also spend some time on a kidnapping incident that occurred here locally, and then ended up having to go to Riverside and serve some search warrants over there, so that took up a little bit of time as well. The Lancaster team is stats were 19 felony arrests, 31 misdemeanor arrests for 50 total, one stolen vehicle, and 0 firearms recovered. The Lancaster team is still doing saturation patrol on the boulevard, help out with that. Robbery team, if you guys look on your form, it's probably going to have, for October, it's all zeros, but this is updated on the screen here. It's going to be 15 felony arrests for the month of October, 6 search warrants, 1 firearm recovered. Total robberies were 39, armed were 18, and strong arm was 18. Still doing crime prevention with the most wanted active shooter. We've been advising the incident in Las Vegas regarding the active shooter. We've been advising the community on preparation for that, and how to protect themselves, how to respond to that. The Department of Homeland Security has it on their website. Basically, it tells them to run, hide, and fight. That's what we kind of tell with the public. Neighborhood watch programs. We also focused on Halloween safety tips. Community Academy is just finished actually this week, so that was ongoing from October, September, October. We had the Coffee with the Deputy at the Lemon Leaf on October 12th. Red Ribbon Week was the week of 10/16 through 10/20. We visited 2 schools, Courts Hill Elementary School and the Sundown Elementary School. We participated in the Boulevard, and we also did the trunk or treat at Desert Oasis Women's Shelter. These are some pictures from the Coffee with the Deputy at the Lemon Leaf. This was from the Red Ribbon Week. So I believe this is Sundown Elementary. We had McGruff there. We had the K-9 came out. It was a good turnout, good event. This is a picture from the Boulevard. It was also a really good turnout from the community.
Yeah, I have a comment. It's not really a question, but I've had the opportunity to attend a lot of the events that go on the Boulevard, and I just want to tell you how happy I am with the environment that's there, that's created, and the safety that we have for those events. The Boulevard's a perfect example of that, where you have all these families with young children that come down, feel safe. You see the sheriff presence there, but it's certainly in no way overwhelming. And everyone I interacted with was very friendly and seemed to be helpful, but certainly serves, in my mind, as a deterrent. So I just wanted to thank you for that. It's been really nice, really ever since I've been participating in these events.
We've had really positive feedback as well from the community, saying that they enjoy seeing us out there, and the city's been doing a great job. So it's been a great partnership with us and the city, doing a connection with the community. Thank you. I'd like to go over the CompStat statistics. You can look at our trends here for October of 2017 versus 2016. We were just slightly up on that. You see kind of the fluctuation over the year, how they tend to go up and down throughout the year, depending on, it looks like minor changes, nothing real extreme. We have the homicides are flatlined for this time of year. The rapes are showing up a little bit, trending up. That could be due to reporting. I don't know of any incidences that there's no serial rapists or anything like that in the community. It just could be the fact that they're being reported. Could not currently, but things that happened in the past. Robberies are trending up slightly, and usually during this time of year, October, November, December, as we get closer to the holidays, we'll start seeing a little bit of an upward shift in robberies and burglaries. Let me go back to robberies. So that being said, with robberies and burglaries, we have been doing saturation patrol from Wednesdays through Saturdays, 6-hour shifts with deputies who are going into neighborhoods and doing proactive policing and basically trying to get ahead of the increase so that we can hopefully not have an increase at all or not as much.
Can I comment on that? I think there's a belief we put additional resources, what he's talking about as it relates to certain criteria that we've been looking at statistically. So we're impacting on days and working with Randy and the captain. And typically what will happen initially is we put more resources out, your numbers are going to go up, not down, okay, because of the proactive and self-initiated activity of the deputies. So that creates stats. So anytime you arrest someone or you discover an issue, that it pushes your up statistically. So we shouldn't be surprised based on that right now that it's going to reflect in numbers based on those arrests. So, and that's something that we put out there. Now, obviously the expectation is it becomes a deterrent at some point, and those individuals that you're removing from that type of behavior no longer can commit crime, and your numbers eventually should reflect that, and I expect to see that. But I think so far it's been a good thing. I know that the deputies that are being utilized in this are more active type deputy sheriffs that are out there being selected to go out and do that enforcement, and it's already paying dividends. Sorry about that.
Aggravated assaults are trending downward. Burglaries also trending downward. Larcenies are starting to trend downward a little bit. And same with the grand theft vehicles. Arsons, it looks like it's spiked up a little bit for October. I believe we had a couple more than normal, but you can see over the course of the year how they tend to spike up and down pretty extremely. We don't normally have a lot of arsons out here, but it seems like in the last month or so, we've had a little bit of a spike.
And if I could add to that real quick, usually when we see a spike like that, it's stolen cars. It's stolen cars that are dumped in the deserts and burned, as opposed to arson of a residence or a business. The spike's almost always stolen car related.
And I'd like to go over the LEAPS program, and we have adjusted our hours for daylight savings time. So we have an operator who's pretty regular on there from, I believe it's from 8 o'clock to 4 o'clock or 8 to 5. And we had 16 arrests where the LEAPS program assisted in that. We had 38 fights and assault calls, 11 burglary robbery calls, 3 traffic stops, 35 other offenses or suspicious circumstances, and 6 persons with a gun. Also, the dispatch summary was 35% of the dispatch calls were related to people. Property was 13%, arrested detentions was 36%, vehicles 11%, and observation arrest was 5%.
Any questions for?
No, thank you very much for your report. I did want to comment that I enjoyed your reference to the homicide rate as flatlined, so thank you for that.
Thank you, sir.
If I can, just real quick, just to put it a little bit in perspective, because you look at the numbers like that in the graphs. I look at the numbers monthly. Our whole division does, our whole patrolling department does. But looking at all the different categories that we went through, we're down year to date. We're down in everything except for the assaults and homicides and stolen vehicles. And just to put a little bit of mind at ease, when we look at our assaults, it's almost always some kind of known associate. Like looking at last month's, what was the percentage on it? 54% of the incidents, they knew each other. and I know I've said this before, but when we come up with the total number of assaults, it's not incidents, it's how many victims. So if you have one incident with 5 victims, that counts as 5 statistics. So it gets skewed a little bit. But overall, we're still down. We're hovering between 4 and 5%. Part 1 crimes down year to date. And working with the city and Mr. DeRico and those teams, we think that directed patrol will certainly affect that. And like I said, for last month, there was 42 incidents of aggravated assault. 23 suspects are arrested, so that's over half are already in custody. So just put it in a little bit of perspective as opposed to just looking at the graphs and bars, if that helps.
Thanks, Captain.
Thank you, Captain. Anything else from the commission? Nothing? Mr. Franklin.
Morning. I've got the reports for last month, September and October. I'll go through those real quickly. The September statistics for felonies are we filed 266 felony cases in the month of September. We declined or referred for further investigation 169, and as of September, the total felony complaints filed was 2,258. On the misdemeanor side, again in September, filed 871 misdemeanors, declined or referred for further investigation 146, for a total of 6,599. In October, for felonies, we filed 210 felonies, declined or referred for further investigation 124, for a total of 2,465. And as far as misdemeanors, we filed 645, declined or referred for further investigation 112, for a total of 7,261 misdemeanor cases. I also wanted to bring to your attention that on the misdemeanor cases, we do have a pilot project that was initiated in the Antelope Valley. And so on Tuesdays and Thursdays in our office, we have the Department of Consumer and Business Affairs, and they will actually assist the victims of misdemeanor crime. So when there is a restitution order, they'll get, when there's restitution granted by the criminal judge, we will then assist them in getting a civil order, getting that filed, and then the consumer affairs folks will assist them, the victims, in setting a lien or doing what they need to do to actually get restitution. What normally happens is you get you damage somebody's vehicle and it's $900 in damage, and the court orders, based on the defendant's statement, I can only afford $15 a month. That's what they're ordered to pay. A lot of times they don't even pay that. So this actually gives the victims an ability to recoup some of the money. And at least it's a moral victory, even if they can't get any funds from the individual. Eventually it'll show up if they do come into money, and they'll be able to be made whole. So that's a pilot project that'll be going, I believe, through February, but on Tuesdays and Thursdays. I think the Thursday consumer person does speak fluent Spanish. So for those Spanish speakers, it would be Thursday. Everybody who speaks English, Tuesdays and Thursdays, we do have that. So if there's any questions on that, anyone can contact my office. And I have some of the information here. I'm going to relay that to Ms. Corbett for her office as far as misdemeanor restitution. The final thing, the that I wanted to bring to your attention is it appears that probably in February, the juvenile courts will be coming over to the main AV, the Antonovich courthouse. I'm not sure they've ironed out all the details because you can't mix the juveniles with when we bring over prisoners from the prison when they commit crimes. We prosecute those and they come over, but they are currently building out 2 courts. It should be completed, I think, by the end of this month. And then in February, the juvenile court system should be over to the Antonovich courthouse and up and running. So I'll keep you posted on how that works out. And barring any questions, that's my report.
The consumer project seems like an interesting direction. Where did that come from? It's a good idea.
Actually, I know the victim restitution. We kind of worked up the ranks together. Her name's Lydia Bowden, and I'm not sure how it initially came to her, but there was a proposal. I'm not sure who's funding it, but we have a good relationship, and she's in charge of where to place this pilot project. And I think there's us and one other court that's going to be doing this. So it was downtown, but we have a good working relationship. She knew I would buy into it, that we're very busy up here. So she strongly pushed to have Antelope Valley as one of the pilot projects. So I'm really encouraging my deputies in court in the misdemeanor courts to utilize this service. It's a great service, and because it's all too easy just to throw up your hands and say, oh, it's $1,000, I'm out, that I'll never see again. Well, maybe at least we can do a little something to get some of the cash back, if not all.
I'd just like to weigh on that. Mr. Franklin, once again, is being very humble. He was a huge help to us at the city. A couple of years ago, we went to our supervising judge as it related to restitution on vandalism because these cases were being adjudicated. The courts were ordering restitution at a certain payment agreement by set forth by probation based on someone's ability to pay. But, of course, probation doesn't enforce a condition of probation as repaying back the restitution. So what we did is working with Mr. Franklin's office and working with the supervising judge can have those cases automatically converted to civil judgment at the time of adjudication, okay, and which gives the city much more ability to collect that funding rather than doing it through the restitution office of probation, which was completely ineffective. So he's not taking credit for that, but that is something I believe this is kind of a trend that came from something that we were already putting in place as it related to the city. We've been very successful with that. We actually have a part-time employee here at the city who's a former court clerk who does nothing but follow those cases and make sure those judgments are put in place so we can recover those funds. And so where at one point we had well over $1 million worth of restitution that was out there floating with people non-paying because, again, it's not enforced, we've been able to recover a substantial amount of that money here at the city. So this program is fantastic as it relates to all misdemeanors because right now with all the legislation that's in place, misdemeanor courts have become almost non-existent as far as any kind of punitive aspect for those things. Prop 47, Prop 57, AB 109, all these things that have occurred. So I think it's a great program, and I think for all of us out there is to promote it maybe through our website as well, through public safety for victims of crime out there to seek that restitution through the state.
Anything else? Mr. Franklin, thank you, sir. Sure. Jocelyn.
Good morning.
How are you?
I'm fine, thank you. I don't really have anything to report. Legal is just continuing to work on problem properties, problem businesses. Just plug away one issue at a time. There's nothing special here, so I'll try to have something exciting for our December meeting.
Okay. Have you gotten more problem properties, or is this the same count?
Every week, there's something new, and then
Something
we
new.
still have the old ones that just linger.
This
Yeah.
linger? What a tough job. That's got to be crazy. So, Mr. DeRico, sir.
It's like the comment, nothing special. There's a lot going on as it relates to these issues out there for quality of life issues in the community. But I think what I already butt in on everyone else's conversation, but thing I really want to push and something we're emphasizing right now as a city is holiday safety. We've done a whole ad campaign out there with Cinemark and through social media, and we like to remind everyone every year that they need to be vigilant out there as they're shopping in the community. We're gearing up with significant resources from the Sheriff's Department with the stepped up holiday patrols. In our shopping centers, people should see a much larger presence from law enforcement, but at the same time, people bear that responsibility themselves to be observant. Don't leave lock items in your car shopping. Take things, small trips, bring those things home. Don't leave your car unlocked in your driveway with items in it. A lot of these thefts, and we see as some statistical numbers are just that, theft from a vehicle. I almost see that daily as it relates to crime stats. 90% of those, it's unknown entry into that vehicle. So that meant the car was probably unlocked because there's no sign of forcible entry. Well, this even becomes more of an issue just for the predatory nature of criminals during this time of year as it relates to gifts and opportunity crime. So just have folks out there look at the information we're putting out there, and let's all look out for each other as it relates to, as in the shopping centers. If we see people just milling about inside the centers, just hanging out in the parking lots, this is something we work with the community as it relates to the stores and their security, and we don't allow people just to loiter in the parking lots. And if you're being approached out there, just be observant.
Are most of the major shopping centers, do they have camera systems in the parking
Yes.
lots? Most of them in the
Yes.
parking lots?
Yes, I would say at this point, yes. Are they everywhere they need to be? Not necessarily. Okay, but I will tell you, part of that business improvement group program is to emphasize those things with especially with our large box retailers, this time of year especially.
With the group of young people that you have on the boulevard, is that something that could be stretched out to shopping centers too? I've noticed too, Commissioner Fuller just brought up how I've seen a larger presence of those people on the boulevard riding their bikes and staying in the public's eye, which makes it more inviting.
Yeah,
Could something like that be switched
I-
and looked at? And
It's funny you're bringing that up.
oh, okay.
Okay, and just to tell you how you guys have got your thumb on the pulse of things here. We'll be doing a presentation from the Boulevard Ambassador Program for the 14th meeting of the City Council. That program has been hugely successful because it's more of a, I want to say, aggressive customer service type mindset, where you're an ambassador giving information, but you're also identifying and be eyes and ears out there for potential problems that may be coming forth. That has really helped us with the reduction of resource management with law enforcement down here on the boulevard. And it's certainly something we'd like to discuss with the larger shopping centers, especially around the city, as we've identified those 4 locations. If you look, as we look at our reporting districts and where crime occurs, most of that is adjacent to those large centers. So the more things that we can do that impact crime in those centers and the opportunity for crime, the better off we are. And a significantly reduced cost based on those items there. That cost comparison down for what we were spending before on the boulevard and what we are able to do now is significantly different.
It sure seems like it would be a win-win situation to look at something like that and,
Well, and kudos to the group that we're doing that with, that contracted with through the Boulevard Association of the city, because you're as good as the people that work for you as well.
Right.
And they do an excellent job. That's all I have.
Anything else? Russ, you're up.
Well, I'll sit right here real quick. Not much going on. Legislation is in recess right now in Sacramento, so I'll let you share it.
That's it? What'd you do last night? Never mind.
He gave us more than Rick Cook.
Yeah, he gave us more than Rick. That's right. Thanks, Russ. Public business from the floor, non-agendized items. This is the part of the agenda allows an individual to speak to the Criminal Justice Commission. That's not on the agenda. You have 3 minutes. Fill out a speaker card, turn it in. I have one in front of me, Mr. David Paul.
Mr. Vice Chair and Commissioners, good morning. Today is sort of an anniversary. If you'll remember a year ago in the election, there were things that came over me, and I remember, Mr. Little, it was somewhat of a bonding experience when you walked in and both of us have that look on our face like what's going to happen next. The world is changing and that always creates problems, but this is almost a new level of anxiety, and I've struggled for a year to come up with a name for what it is, and I've stumbled onto WUD, World Unraveling Dissociative Disorder, because there is sort of a dissociation that goes on, and that's one of the reasons that I love to come to the council meetings and the criminal justice meetings to hear the things. Mr. Franklin, that was a great point. It's a moral victory, and people need a moral victory. They need to have something that works, somebody that cares. And I see that all across this room. And Linda, I'm so sad that you're going. You're a bright spot. You're a joy to be around, and we will miss you. And maybe you can leave instructions on how to be pleasant for the next person, because I have enjoyed you. This is a great group, and you know the way we work together. Mr. Fuller, you talked about the Boulevard celebration. What a joy that was to walk around and have peace. And what kind of an idiot would cause a problem in a situation like that? I don't know, but it compels people to do better, and that's what this city does. That's what this commission does, and I appreciate it so much. So just thank you again, and everyone, thank you so much. It makes a difference in my life, and it makes a difference in people's lives, whether they can see it or not, to have some force counteracting what is so confusing in this world. So thank you all.
Mr. Paul, thank you. We appreciate you, sir. Thank you so much. Commissioner comments, anything? Go ahead.
I was just going to comment. I've been ruminating about this thing that the district attorney and Mr. DeRico have been talking about, and as I think about the nanny state and their progressive movement to shift away from an ethic of personal responsibility into an ethic of victimhood, the legislature has relatively successfully emasculated the courts for imposing any criminal consequences to bad behavior. And I thought it was very ingenious that you guys have come up with a way to shift that to the civil court, which now is attempting to impose some personal responsibility for bad behavior. So I thought that was very interesting. Thank you.
Vice Mayor.
I would like you guys to come up with an ordinance that talks about or limits what people can carry, possess during demonstrations, rallies, protests, picket lines, assemblies. So, Lee, can you work with them? Yes, absolutely. And since the city attorney doesn't have much to do, could you get her to help? Nothing special. Well, this is special now. But we don't have one that has that, so if we could do that, I'd appreciate it. Thank you.
Any other comments from the commission? We're good? Well, then we'll stand adjourned until Wednesday, December 13th at 10 a.m.